Good evening and welcome to Coast to Coast Talk Back on a cloudy but clear evening in Guyana. My name is Nazim Hussein, your host this evening. Our technical coordinator is Nicholas Samaru of 2000 Graphic Studios, program director W.R. Riaz. Our topic this evening is environment and garbage disposal in Guyana, which has been a very topical issue in Guyana of recent. It has always been a disgusting event in Guyana for the longest while, but recently it has hit the spotlight. Our panelists this evening, as you would have seen in our promo, Mr. Walter Narayan, the Solid Waste Management Director of the Georgetown Mayor and Town Council, Salima Altar, Environmental Assistant in the New Amsterdam Mayor and Town Council, Mr. Troy Edmondson, CEO Edmondson Designs, and a concerned citizen who has been very vocal on matters of importance to Guyanese citizens. Today's edition comes with the kind compliments of Nali Kunafika with 17 branches nationwide for life, fire, and general insurance. Region number 3, RDC, West Demerara, Skipper Islands. Region number 10, RDC, Upper Berbice, Demerara, Linden. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure, the Silvers Optical, the 248 border, Look Better, See Better, and BK & Sons, distributors of 6-7 Diamond Public Road. They stock wholesale and retail quantities of groceries, parts and supplies, sanitary wear. They're very concerned about safe disposal, efficient disposal of garbage. First, let me do some introductions and, initial introductions. Walter, welcome to your first stint on Coast to Coast, and I can assure you it's not going to be the last one.
Thank you very much. I hope so. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, Troy, I know that you've been very vocal. You've been involved in community activities. I want to thank you for accepting the invite and welcome to Coast to Coast this evening.
It's a pleasant Nazim. It's always a pleasure having these sorts of conversations with you. And yes, definitely, when you would have contacted, I could not have said no. Because
all right, I had, yeah, great. I had our other guest was on screen, but I'm not seeing her. I don't know if she has an issue with her phone or what. Anyhow, Salima Autar is the environmental assistant at the New Amsterdam City Council. Soon she comes on back, we'll do. But we're going to go straight into this topic. As you would know, and viewers know, we're transmitting on Facebook Live here in Guyana, globally. And for those of you who may not be able to look at the entire program, just after the program is finished, my technical coordinator, Nicholas Amaro, download on YouTube, so we can have reference to what we're discussing. Walter, I first would start talking to you. Garbage disposal is a very sickening thing in Guyana. But I want first for you to define solid waste.
All right, good afternoon. So solid waste is any type of waste that is not liquid, right? So you have construction waste, you have municipal waste, you have household waste, right?
Medical waste, hospital waste.
Hospital waste, all of that is solid waste that we collect on a daily basis, right? So basically, that's basically what solid waste is.
Good. Well, our discussion this afternoon is primarily about solid waste because they are liquid waste that can also contaminate communities and things like that. So another program will probably talk about liquid waste and other things like that, because that is also detrimental in how it's been disposed. I don't want to jump the gun. I have in mind a particular thing about liquid waste that I probably might point out shortly. Recently, there have been lots of videos and photographs on mainstream media showing people who are dumping garbage indiscriminately. And this came all about because of the initiative by central government being led by none other than His Excellency Dr. Irfan Ali, and that initiative had included civil society and the diplomatic corps, among other things, and so on. And I think because of that, it raises the awareness and the waste management becoming the topical issue. Coast to Coast has always been one of the topics that we've always been looking at topical issues to discuss. And I thought today it's going to be very timely because of that initiative recently. We have had several complaints from citizens, and I want to raise this before we go into the discussion about why it is they do not normally dispose of their garbage in a timely and efficient manner. For example, citizens have been talking about lack of bins, garbage not collected efficiently, businesses using mentally challenged people to dump indiscriminately. I'll come back to the point about what happened to the minibuses and the taxis that were supposed to provide receptacles for passengers to dispose of garbage while traveling. It's been done in planes, of course. And another very topical issue I'll deal with that I just want to put you on scope here. Should inspection for application for vehicles fitnesses include garbage receptacles and things like that? Now, solid waste management in Guyana has been source reduction, recycling rate, but basically our primary things have been disposal has been like legal and illegal and burning. Those are the three issues how we dispose waste in Guyana. Legal, illegal, and burning. Having said that, Walter, I want, before we go into when you're doing the current disposal and things like that, first off, what are the laws governing littering and fines for indiscriminate dumping of garbage?
Okay, so we have a lot of different types of laws concerning littering indiscriminately, littering by itself, totally. So first off, you have all municipality is governed by Chapter 2801, and it covers littering. But the fees there, because it was conceptualized so long ago, the fees is meager, right? Yes, it was repealed, and the fees now, as we stand, is $10,000 for littering. However,
that's a maximum fine.
Maximum fine. In 2016, the Ministry of Natural Resources, through the EPA, would have government enacted, not 2016, sorry, 2013, would have got government again to enacted litter regulation. It was under the umbrella of EPA, the Environment Protection Agency. Now, although it is under the umbrella of the EPA, it is a legislation that is nationally used or should be nationally used. Now, littering cover in that regulation carries a fine of minimum $50,000 to a maximum of $100,000 to $500,000. And littering in that aspect, in that regulation, covers from a cigarette butt to you have the horse or the animals defecating or urinating on the streets. You have people, well, you see the homeless people and civil society urinating on posts. All of that is littering.
All of those are things that I wanted to discuss this afternoon. I'm happy to bring them up.
Section of it covers every single thing. If it's one you call like we normally would spit outside through the vehicles or stuff like that, that is also littering, right? But because EPA they don't have sufficient staff to enforce, they actually pass on those responsibilities onto the municipality and the Ghana Police Force, Ghana Fire Service, and stuff like that. So what we would have done is piggyback on that regulation. The Georgia municipality, however, would have gone parallel to that, and we would have conceptualized our own littering bylaws. Our littering bylaws carry a minimum fine of $25,000 to a maximum of $100,000. It was recently sent to the Minister of Local Government. We got back a response from him with some amendments that will be done, and the fines with the EPA litter regulation, the fines goes to the consolidated fund. Okay, so regardless who is arresting these folks, the money will go to the consolidated fund. What the council would have done is do our littering bylaws, but the fines come to the Georgia municipality because for good reason. One, the litter, when we found people littering, we have to go and clean it, right? Because seldomly you'll have people come back and clean their litter. Sometimes the littering is so much that we have to get large vehicle excavators and stuff to clean it. So those money will come exactly to do that. It's not for any other reason, but it's for just to clean up those kind of waste.
Well, I'm very happy. I'm very happy that you're clarifying that because we would have people who would want to say they're not considering that they should do the right thing, but quickly we'll say, what will you do with the money that the fines are paid for?
No,
so we'll come back to that. I'm happy that you brought that up. Just give me a minute. Let me just reintroduce Ms. Salima Altar. Welcome. I thought you had a little issue just now. Salima is the environmental assistant at New Amsterdam City Town Council, Main Town Council. Salima, are you hearing us?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, Salima, you listened just now when we were talking about the fines that Walter spoke about. What are the fines for littering in the New Amsterdam Main and Town Council?
Well, presently we have for residential, we have $25,000, between $20,000 to $50,000, and commercial is $100,000.
Those are enacted, those are statutes, those are laws of the Town Council here.
Yes, that was carried to our statutory meeting.
Okay, great. So as we're discussing, any one of the panelists, feel free to cut in or ask a question of the other person, because the sole purpose of this afternoon's program is to educate all of us, as well as the masses and all those, not only those who are locked in now, but those who would look at the program afterwards. So feel free to jump in and do whatever. It's not a hardcore interview as such. But I know I'm going to be targeting Walter mostly about certain things, because Walter has been very, very active in what he's doing, and I want to compliment him, and he's always been willing to share some information. So Walter, I alluded earlier, I said that many people complain about the garbage not being collected on time. Do you have a garbage collection schedule for the city of Georgetown?
Yes, we do. The Georgia municipality is governed, well, we have 3 contractors along with the solid waste management department, which I manage, that carry out collection of waste in the city. You have a schedule, detailed schedule where the contract is listed as to where, because what we would have done, we would have divided Georgetown into 11 groups. And each of those groups is managed by a contractor, or sometimes you have one contractor managing 2 or 3 groups, right? On the Georgetown Main City Council Facebook page, every single day, those schedules are reposted. So like, for example, today, you will see that schedule on our Facebook page. Next you choose, you will see back the same schedule back again. So every day you have a daily schedule. And what is beautiful about the schedule, it has the contractor for the area. It also has a contact number for the contractor or the solid waste department, whoever is doing the area. So in case you have a hiccup or you didn't see the garbage truck, you can feel free to call the mobile numbers and you can get clarity. But I would like to take in one thing there. The little regulation I spoke of just now concerning the EPA. Now it is so set out that on your day of collection, only then you are permitted to put out your waste receptacle. You cannot put it out the day before, right? You can't put it out the day after. So on the day of collection, the regulation is so strict that on the day of collection, you have to put out your thing. If for some unforeseen reason, the garbage collected did not come on the day, you have to take that receptacle back into your premises. Failure to do so, you will be charged, right? A lot of people, and I think that's what we need to do more of, is educating our citizens. They are not aware of that. You have some folks that put out the garbage a day before, 2 days before, and then the homeless people go around, tumble everything out, looking for food, looking for whatever. and then the garbage has to pick up all of those
Yeah,
stuff.
that is also coupled. That's also coupled with rodents and
Exactly.
dogs and cats and things like that.
And because what you have, the composition, I can't speak for New Amsterdam or any other township. The
Well, New
composition,
Amsterdam will speak shortly.
the composition of waste in Georgetown, 55% of the waste is organic waste. Because what we do, what our citizens do, they put every single thing into the garbage bin. So leftover rice, leftover curry, leftover thing goes into the garbage bin. And that is organic waste. And within a 24-hour period, that waste will start to decompose and breed worms and start carrying out leachate, right? And that is why people get very nervous when they don't see a garbage truck roll by, because it starts giving out an odor, right? But if we can go, probably we'll do another topic when we talk about composting, right?
Yes.
Those waste, those type of waste are better suited for composting rather than go into your garbage bin. So to answer the question again, we have a schedule. It's posted on our Facebook page, right? So there's no excuse of people in Georgetown saying they don't know when is the collection day or who is the contractor.
Well,
right?
you know, I could tell you right off the bat one of the excuses. People could say that they're not having enough internet to look at it, or they don't have internet on their phone or data.
That is not true. Honestly, I wouldn't buy that excuse.
All right,
But
great.
so what happens too is that the contractor in February of last year, when the new contract was signed by the contractors and council, the contractor responsibility, and which they have done, is share out flyers to every household in that group. So again, the awareness was done. So if, for instance, now we have residents in Georgetown, don't know who's the contractor and when is the day of collection, I can probably have it put in the newspaper if they do read newspaper now, or we try to find another mechanism to get that information over.
Well, we'll talk about how else our agency can help in terms of disseminating that information. Let me ask Salima. Salima, does the New Amsterdam Mayor, City and Town Council have a schedule for garbage collection?
We do have a schedule, but to be honest, that schedule is not upkeep. Reason being, we're having a lot of difficulties with laborers, solid waste collectors. They're absenting a lot from work. A lot of persons don't want to come out to work. Then we have a lot of faulty machinery. Presently, at this moment, our municipality is facing a large, heavy challenge with solid waste collection. We have one canter and one skid bin working to service the entire district, which it's very difficult.
So are you saying that this falls down to financing?
Yes.
Okay, because I know a little while back, I don't know if it's happening now. I know you had a contract in Daphnis with a tractor and trailer that would have been collecting refuse all over the New Amsterdam municipality. I don't know if that is still so, because I only a couple of weeks back driving down the Strand, I was shocked to see the amount of garbage that's piling up down there. Obviously, you along with Walter and any person in the city council and concerned citizens, our first thought is, what is the waste management unit doing when we see these things? And I'm happy that you are now explaining that one of the challenges that you're facing is financing, basically. And I'm certain I have an idea that maybe some of the people who are decision makers and at least one or two of the ministers might be looking at this program. If they're not looking now, they might be looking later to see how it is that they can help NDCs, city town councils and others to be able to meet the mandate of garbage disposal in Guyana. So I do understand the constraints you're having, but that brings me to the point now that I'm going to ask both of you, and I'll ask Walter first. What should a resident or business do if their garbage was not collected on the scheduled day?
Okay, so I will go with the household first. Household, if for instance, for someone.
I will come to you shortly. Yeah.
For someone for some reason your garbage was not collected on the day of collection. Say, for example, today is Tuesday. Today, Kitty is supposed to receive clearance. if today pass and you don't see the garbage truck, you have to bring your receptacle back into your premises. You make the phone call to receive an update if we didn't put out a flyer or put out something on Facebook before, right? So we will let you know when the truck will pass, and then you have to put back that bin.
I understand. And let me just acknowledge
For the commercial district.
Let me just acknowledge Mr. Mahendra Vinita. Let me just acknowledge Mahendra Hariraj out in New York, who is a very vocal person when it comes, always living in New York, is Guyanese. He's been traveling here and he's been very vocal on issues about in Guyana. Well, I understand that part. Now, this one is one that is very, very important. But before we come to that, now what should citizens do if they observe someone dumping garbage inappropriately?
Okay, so
do we have a WhatsApp number that they can send images to and things like that?
Okay, so let me answer the question with the commercial just now. The commercial for in Georgetown, commercial receive garbage collection once daily. Every single day, the commercial district receive garbage collection for good reason, because they generate a lot of garbage. Mostly it's packaging materials, cardboard boxes, plastics, PET bottles. So that's why we have to give it commercial. And because our commercial district is central, so a lot of people derive an image of the country from central Georgetown. In terms of littering, I think my mobile number was posted on my Facebook page for anyone to share videos, pictures, which have been doing it. My phone probably have so many images that we are dealing with. I saw the Minister of Local Government, Honorable Minister Nigel Damlal, also would have put his personal number out, because the time has come for us to weed out this scourge in our society. We need to stop it. We need to be vocal about it, and we need to start reporting people. And you'll be surprised that is big businessmen and women are actually contributing towards this littering, right? They are paying homeless people to dispose of the garbage.
I'm so happy that you brought that up. That was one of the things I wanted to discuss.
It is very irresponsible for them, because when you give the homeless to dispose of the garbage, you have to understand that they would not go to where you have a receptacle. They're going to look for the shortest distance to drop that garbage to go back to another resident. And that is why we are in our campaign now, when we find the homeless, we are questioning them as to who the business person, who gave them the garbage, and we are arresting both parties. For instance, Saturday last, we arrested the homeless person and a businesswoman, and they will soon appear in court to answer to the charge. Good. So that is basically what I like to say about my mobile number is 6235010. Anywhere in Georgetown, but I'm receiving videos and stuff from Rosignol, from Vislers Industry, all over. Right. But that is my mobile number. So anybody has a video or a pic that somebody is dumping, they can send to that number. We act on it immediately.
Do that number one more time for our listeners in public.
623 5010.
6235010.
Yeah.
So before we continue, Troy, you're there, right?
Yes.
Troy, your views on what we have discussed so far.
I have quite a few.
But go ahead with some, and we'll come back to me. You're not going to get you to do all right now. Go ahead.
I realize.
You're so prepared.
Some of the things I'm just listening to Walter and his comments that he made. Like for example, in our area here in Henry Pope, one of the things that is of concern. I know for like central government in like Georgetown, for example, they have the mayor and city council would handle the affairs of garbage collection. But what about the situation where the outskirts, which would be, I guess those are controlled by would that be the NDC's responsibility or the RDC's responsibility? How does that work?
So Georgetown is controlled by Georgetown City Council. The township is controlled. The garbage collection is controlled by the respective township. the other areas that the NDCs that is responsible and the RDC, they are also responsible for collecting of garbage. If they are not by themselves, they have to contract contractors. But I want to believe that the problem they are having is, as the other panelists talk about, the finance. In Georgetown, because it's central, we have a wider area of collecting revenue, right? Although we don't collect what we deserve, but we have a wider area, wider net to collect revenue from our household, businesses, central government, properties and stuff like that. In the outskirt, I think they have a difficulty with collecting that revenue from
But
those residents.
if I may, Walter, what I recognize is that, for example, there are a lot of persons on the coast here that utilize the Puran brothers and any other third party person to collect garbage. And no one really has a problem to pay, I guess, what, $500 or $1,000 a month or something to collect the garbage. So, you know, when you speak of funding, right, I find that it kind of is an excuse in a way, because I don't really think residents would really have a real major issue of paying $500 a month, and have the, you know, it will help cushion the garbage situation. I think
So Troy, then you're positing the view that it is the residents' lack of information, understanding that they need to do the right thing, and not necessarily because they can't afford to pay one of the private garbage disposal companies should have down to around $500.
Well, Nazim, a lot of persons do utilize the Puran Brothers service generally. So, I mean, that is, if Puran Brothers can travel all the way from the West Coast to come till all the way to the East Coast and collect garbage and make a profit when the month comes, then why is the council not using their head and simply implement the same thing? You can't keep saying the same excuse year after year, or the tractor breakdown, the truck breakdown, and then you have Puran Brothers, like I said, coming all the way from the West Coast to all the way to the East Coast, make a hefty profit, when why the council doesn't do the same? You know what I mean? It will help them.
I will ask Walter to hold before he answers that one. I'll ask Walter to hold before he answers that one. But let me just ask a question that I think that has been a burning issue for me with some people. Does the rates and taxes collected by Walter, I understand you can speak only for the main city council of Georgetown, but you have a wider knowledge about other things. Does the rates and taxes covered includes the right to garbages for the garbage disposal?
To answer that question straight off, yes, it does.
It does.
But the last time the rate and tax for Georgetown was regulated or increased was 1996. So the problem we have, and again, I can only speak for Georgetown, but I will answer Troy's question just now with the RDC of Region 4, which is Monvipo. To take, for example, the problem we have in the city is that if you are renting a property, if you were renting a property in 1996, 1997, and you were paying $20,000 a month, come 2020, we're in 2022 now, you're paying the same amount of money. Could you find a property that you were renting in 1997 charging the same rent in 2022? Absolutely not. Okay, so that's where, in terms, you can hear his worship and the other politicians speaking about the need to increase the rates and taxes that you have in the city. But yes, garbage collection is covered there. But again, I'm saying it's since 1997. To answer Troy's question.
Before you answer Troy's question, let me ask you this now. Are the rates obviously the rates and taxes that are being collected are prorated, so everybody don't pay the same rates and taxes based on their value property and things like that. So it means then that there is no separate tax for garbage collection. It's just the same old thing.
No, presently, no. There's no separate
tax for garbage collection.
Garbage collection. Garbage collection is covered in the rates and tax that we collect, right? The city will be moving swiftly.
All right, I understand that. You can now answer Troy's.
Troy's question is talking about the RDC of Region 4. That is Monvipo RDC, right? I can't speak too much about it, but what I can understand, what I'm saying is that anytime I know the residents are anxious to pay at $300, $400, $500, as he says, and they're paying to poor ones. But the RDC can't go about now asking residents to pay because they're also already paying a rates and tax. Anytime they are going to ask residents to pay that, they have to get a new legislation, right? They have to get new legislation that governs them to collect that money for garbage. And that's the touch and go. You see, the private contractor they have to get the blessings also of the RDC and the NDC before they can come and operate in an area. So Puran Brothers or the Savants, whoever is operating, must have had the blessings of the RDC for them to go and operate, right? I don't know why the RDC cannot contract the contractor, Puran Brothers, Savants, whoever, to do garbage collection for the citizens. And they from their
Yeah, that was basically Troy's point, right? Yeah, because I tell you where I live. I live in the Herstellan Little Diamond community, and they have a truck and they have a tractor trailer. Every so often, either one of the two would develop mechanical or other motor vehicular issues. But also, we have Puran brothers would come into the community. What I would do personally, and some of my neighbors, is if because our truck and trailer is done, we will pay Puran to collect our garbage. I think that's the right thing to do. That kind of thing. I don't know if everyone would want to be able to afford to do that, but Troy illuminated a very valid point. If the NDC is like, I saw Miss Altar is missing again, probably she's having issues with her phone. If you have equipment that you see these NDCs don't have a mechanical workshop and professional mechanics and things like that. Every time they have a breakdown, they will have to send that vehicle to a workshop to repair. And no disrespect to mechanics, but they get ripped off. They charge a lot of money. And all of us here know something that when you deal with companies or NDCs, agencies, and government, they skyrocket the rates. It's not like an ordinary man driving a motor car and he pay a $5,000. They're gonna think, hey, these guys got money, so we charge them $50,000, right? So the issue is, if you were to have a mechanical workshop and professional mechanics and things like that, you're gonna pay them what the labor law requires, basically the salaries, their leave allowance, passage assistance, and all those things and so on. So it's a good thing to perhaps let these NDCs look at how they can give the contract to people like Purans and Savons and others, because then they wash their hands from all mechanical failures from the vehicles and things like that. I would like to suggest that. Your views, Walter?
It's a cat and mouse basically. I can't speak. I really don't want to speak for the RDC or the NDC, right? I can only speak for Georgetown. But you see, it comes back again. Troy might not want to hear this, but it comes back to finances. The RDC collects a subvention from central government. The subvention is, I think it's about $20 million a year. Now, a garbage truck like what we have the international brand.
Sorry to impose on what you're saying. The 20 million is to do what? Garbage collection, and garbage collection being is it administrative wise? Is it to fuel the vehicles? Is it to maintain the vehicles? What's this 20 million? How is it being broken down? Because if you're gonna tell me $20 million, if you divide, let's say you got 5 staff, you're paying them $100-something thousand a month. $20 million is not no sort of money to run any sort of department at the government level. These people will need stationery, transportation, whatever other dietaries. There's a whole list of stuff just to run a department. So what would $20 million?
No, you got it wrong. $20 million for capital expense. It's for purchase of machinery. That is $20 million. Okay. The rates and tax that is collected by the RDC is to do the administrative, as you spoke about, stationery and whatever it is, right? Now, one garbage truck that I have, that the council has, right, that the international brand, is a 28 cubic. One of those garbage trucks It cost $57 million, brand new, right? That's why you have the NDC and the RDC. They don't have much garbage truck. If they do have, they are mostly with a tractor trailer,
Yeah.
which is not the right practice to collect garbage. It's unsafe, right? And you have trucks collecting garbage. Again, it's not right. So it's something that I think from a national level, I'm sure Honorable Minister National will be listening to this. From national level, we'll need to furnish these RDCs and NDCs with equipment, proper equipment for them to collect garbage. Garbage is sore because if you like Manipur market, for example, that market is Sunday market, right? Saturday, Sunday. You will see the horror on Monday morning with the amount of garbage pile up there at the market, right? It's a continuous problem. So basically it's telling you whatever resources you have is not sufficient. And the Puran brothers and the Savons and stuff like that do not go to the municipal market to collect garbage. They will go to the house. So who is paying them, right? And you see they kick back up the side, what you call it, the negative aspect of that type of arrangement is that if, for instance, the resident is not home for a week or 2 weeks, they will collect back the bin. Again, it's not the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's quite true.
The NDC and the RDC is responsible to collect garbage, and they should be. I would love for them to have the requisite equipment to do the work themselves. And then they can probably they can approach central government to increase the rates and tax rather than collecting a garbage fee. Increase the rates and tax so that money will offset the garbage situation.
But
I think that'd be a better approach.
If I may, as Nazim rightfully said earlier, it's a situation where, as you said, it's a cat and mouse situation. It will still boil back to the same problem, funding. Because even if you give them the relevant vehicles or the most advanced garbage trucks or what's not, as you say, the tractor trailer is not exactly the most safe way to go, right? It's still boil back to the same problem. Because if should something happen to that truck, which happens many times, and many times we're left in this area weeks upon weeks with no garbage collections. So because the truck is not functioning. Hence you're forced to do what Nazim does, and I do the same, which is pay poor and brothers to take away the garbage. Right?
All right.
So nobody now, the same problem of if something goes wrong with the truck is down, the mechanics, as Nazim said, will overprice certain things, because, well, for whatever reason, let's not get into that. But the truck is going to be down. Everybody's garbage is just there piling up. Obviously it's a safety hazard, it's a health hazard. And we're back to square one. So
whilst we do appreciate Troy, whilst we do appreciate those are things that can happen and have been happening. I want to ask Walter, but before I ask him, I want to reiterate, it is the citizen's duty to ensure that this garbage is disposed of efficiently. And in the absence of breakdown of trucks, garbage disposal, whatever, I do not expect any decent citizen would want to leave the garbage on the street or would dump it in their yards and things like that. Walter, what does the law say? What does the law say?
Because persons are now taking it onto themselves and utilizing the entire agriculture road as a garbage heap, from all the way to Nari, all the way to the line top road.
Yeah, I saw that recently when I was going into Nari.
The same problem of the trucks not working. So,
but what is it?
As you were saying about funding, if it's a legislative problem, you guys are the persons who are policymakers. Then you guys are the ones got to bring this up to the higher levels when you have these sorts of meetings at the legislative level, however terms you guys use, and try and fix it. I'm sure if this is brought to the forefront, whether it's on a local level or a national level, I don't really think much citizens are gonna kick up a whole hew and ha that, let's just have the poor and brother arrangement. Whether it's a $300, if you guys do it cheaper than poor and brothers, even better for you. $300.
Obviously, Troy, one of the things that has been happening, especially in Guyana recently, because of the freedom of expression and the freedom of social media, is that many of us have been expressing on things that we do not understand what are the governing laws. And we feel that because we are free to express, we can just say anything, blame the government, blame the NDC, blame the city council, blame the officers and things like that. One of the reasons for this program, I just need some clarity. Walter, what is the legal position for corporate and for citizens? The legal thing for them to dispose of their garbage.
Okay. The responsibility
Yeah,
of
their legal responsibilities.
the municipality, the RDC, entity is to manage garbage within that area. That's foremost. The responsibility of the resident is so each household must be fitted with a garbage receptacle. It must be covered. It must be movable. That's the responsibility of the resident. Okay. I can understand the frustration. I can feel the frustration coming from Troy in terms of his area, which is outside of Georgetown. Georgetown is only from Cummins Lodge to Agricola. Anything beyond a Cummins Lodge is not the Georgetown municipality responsibility. All right. So what do we have to look at? I think what the chairman for the Region 4 has to look at is that it's a wide cross section of problems that they're having in terms of garbage collection. Troy is talking about from a household, people are coming, poor and brothers come to collect from the household. I'm happy about that, but it's an additional cost to the resident. Because if they have to pay that amount of money for poor and brothers to remove garbage collection, that is responsibility of the RDC. And then they have to turn back now and pay rates and tax to the RDC. Then they may very well ask the question, why am I paying rates and tax for? Right? I can understand that argument. So I think the chairman and the councils of Region 4, RDC, I can't speak for them, but they're willing to look at this problem holistically and try to find a solution, a quick solution. Because as Troy mentioned, Agriculture Road, I traversed there recently, and that place was littered with a lot of garbage, right? And if we're gonna go about now, you see, you don't want to be caught in a situation where someone is littering, and then when you lock them up, you go to court, then they can say, well, I have no other means to dispose of my garbage. The RDC doesn't collect my garbage, so what do I do? If I burn it, I'll be charged. If I dump it out there, I'm being charged. So what is the right
Brings me to the point. Brings me to the point, Walter. Do we have enough skid bins in the city primarily? Because myself and Troy were talking about something. If you look at Border Market, there's probably one or two down there. One of the coconut seller could fill one of them every day. Do we have enough skid bins in the municipal markets? That is one. Do we have enough garbage receptacles around the city at strategic points that people could drop their garbage in? I don't know. I haven't checked it. You would have checked it.
And that's where I'm responsible for. All right. The Border Market, we have a static compactor on Orange Walk, right? That is a 32 cubic static compactor to collect waste from border markets and its contiguous area. And that is the garbage collected there on a daily basis is 18 tons of garbage, 18 to 19 tons of garbage we collect there every single day.
But it's not the garbage that is being placed. That is much more.
No, that's much more. But this is garbage collected from border market and its contiguous area. The coconut vendors you speak of, we have an arrangement with the coconut vendors. They are paying the municipality $200 per 45-gallon drum of coconut shells to dispose in the garbage truck. And that operation begins from 6 o'clock in the evening. So that's a separate arrangement. Okay. In terms of waste receptacles in this city, I have a different view. Right. Yes, you hear the cry, you hear the appeal for more receptacles around the city. I will take you back in 2015. In 2015, we would have put 42 waste receptacles along Regent Street, Robb Street, King Street, Wellington Street. Okay. Within a 2 weeks period, they were left with about 13. They were vandalized, they were stolen, they were doing that. But that doesn't stop the resident from using the garbage receptacles, right? I have waste receptacles in the avenues. You will see our citizen not wanting to get up from the benches to go to the garbage receptacle. They'll drop the stuff right there. Outside of the bin, we'll have more garbage than inside the bin. I shared a picture recently on my Facebook page.
I saw that picture shared.
On Waterloo Street. The bin is empty, the garbage is outside.
Outside of it. But
right?
could that have been because of vagrants or
Yeah, you may
or
make
dogs
that
or cats?
argument with big ones. I can buy that, but also we have some residents of traverse the city that, in better words, they are just lazy to use receptacles. So I have a different view, and we are going to within tomorrow. I'm actually receiving a donation of waste receptacles that we're gonna put along Regent Street again. We're gonna try it back again, right? But again, it doesn't give anyone the excuse for lack of receptacles to dump the garbage. If you dump, we are going to charge you. The city is the hub for all economic activity in the country. And you cannot come and disrespect the city like that. We are going to arrest you. We are going to put you before the courts. Right? You have to,
Also,
even when you go to Canada.
quick question. Now, I'm guessing the waste receptacles, as you mentioned, with the vandalism and what's not, and most likely probably theft too. That's obviously another funding problem too, right? Because obviously you gotta get money to buy back these bins and what's not. As part of, why not have an initiative? So what would it cost to have a waste bin? What was the general cost? I don't know the cost. What's the cost of a waste bin?
To put in
When
the
you talk
commercial
about when you're talking the place that we're within the,
A rubbish bin. What's the cost of general rubbish bin? Whether it's the blue ones, the metal ones, what's the general cost?
No, you gotta be specific. I don't understand which one you're talking about.
All right. The waste receptacles, I guess, would be the mesh ones, correct?
Oh, that you see in the avenues? Okay, so
yeah.
good. So one of those that it went up to its cost of production right now is about 40 to 45,000
Wow.
for one of those.
All right. Well,
Right?
that might
Because
be
not only the bin, you have to affix that, you have to cement it into the pavement or wherever you're gonna put it. All right. The ones we're gonna put out tomorrow is the Rubbermaid, right? These are it's strong plastic, and we have garbage bags. It's gonna be placed in that. All right.
You just lift up the garbage bags, right?
Yeah, we're gonna put garbage bags every day. Just to open the bin, take out the garbage bag, and put a new one every single day. But I hope that people use the bins again for the rightful purpose.
Would it be possible, right, to come up with a campaign probably that would allow the citizenry to have something that I guess is a bit cost efficient? So I don't know. I don't know if you guys would ever use the regular blue ones. I guess those are probably the cheapest ones there, right? And have persons just get involved to donate a bin or something, you know. if whatever it is,
Try. That's a nice idea. That's a nice idea, Troy.
There are many
That's a nice idea, but you
many
know,
people
you see
overseas
Walter
and
laugh.
local would contribute easily if it's I don't know the cost. I guess I'm just throwing figures, $3,000. I
No,
guess.
that's what I'm saying. Try. You see Walter laugh because he's like me. You know, I mean, I don't want to hit at these business places in Georgetown and corporate entities and things like that, right? But people are so reluctant to contribute to something that is so important, right? And you're talking with all the businesses in Georgetown, you can get 50 businesses to just contribute one bin each or one of the receptacles of garbage. But I guess it comes down. I'm a marketing person like you, Troy. This is what happens. You have to show the corporate businesses what can be their advantages. You got to show that if you can get garbage so disposed, how they themselves can benefit. They might not then have to get the mentally challenged people to go and dump it to other places. So it comes down, there are lots of logistics involved, but the suggestion is fine. But let me ask, Walter, you earlier mentioned.
If bins seem to be one of the problems, then we can start, even if you start in one area. The seawall probably would be the best area as it's the one that is kind of the largest eyesore you see every weekend. So start in a small area, and move from there. It could be a brilliant campaign. Just brand the bin, put on an adhesive or something.
Yeah, but a lot has to do with the marketing and education of these campaigns.
Let me jump in here, right? Bins is not the problem, right? I think I have a very, very good working relationship with the private sector in Georgetown, and they are willing to contribute at any time possible. Bins is not a problem. The problem is our behavior towards the waste receptacles.
Well, we have to implement educational programs to change that mindset.
We tried all of that, Try
you
it
gotta
on.
keep trying.
What the next stage I'm gonna
I
do
could give
very
you, I
short.
could give you another suggestion, Walter. If you said you've exhausted all avenues of educating the people, then council always complains it doesn't have money. So you mentioned earlier, I think the fine is, was it 50,000 to 100,000 or something? That's
No,
the
20,000, 10 to $20,000.
the
Okay.
fines as we stand with the little regulation, the EPA regulation is 50,000 to 100,000. And repeat offenders and businesses, it goes all the way to 500,000. Council fines is 25 to $100,000. That will be soon implemented, and that money is paid directly to council.
Okay,
Good.
so that would be council would be as in out of Georgetown.
In Georgetown.
Okay.
That is within the precincts.
That
Agriculture
goes-
Commons Lodge.
Why not also have a program just like the COVID task force has? You know, they kind of put up the white paper saying I've reached the COVID guidelines. Implement stuff like that. Put stuff
No,
where you know
I don't know if you are
Have
following.
have persons with the lovely orange vests if they know they're doing a lot of littering and
No.
let them clean the place or something.
Okay, try it on if you're following social media. But if you go to Ghana Police Force Facebook page, you would see the amount of arrests we arrested so far. Within the last 2 weeks, people who we arrested, who we put to do community work, and who are charged by the courts. Right? We have a few that will be going on February 8th back to court for littering. The campaign has started, right? It's not a name and shame campaign, it's just to expose people for the dirty behavior. Right? So if you follow Guyana Police Force who are working in collaboration with us, with my department, right, to identify these areas, we clean out certain areas, we monitor those areas. Anybody caught dumping right now are being prosecuted. I said we shared our mobile phone numbers, myself and the Minister of Local Government. People are sending videos to us. We are going after them. So the campaign has
All right.
started. We're gonna put
Walter,
bins. Yeah, we're gonna put bins again. We're gonna try the bins situation because everybody is making a whole lot of noise about lack of waste receptacles. Fine, I heard you. We are going to put waste receptacles, but mark my word, you get caught littering, you are going to be feeling the full force of the law.
Walter, how do we address the issue of animal waste on the roadways? That is one. Builders' waste, sand, and the derelict vehicles that are parked in roadways. They might not be so much of the derelict vehicles in the environs of Georgetown, but the NDC control areas, these bank on the East Coast and things like that. I suspect that you can't answer for that. I hope I can get some of the NDC people here in another show and we can talk about that. But I did see an initiative to clear those vehicles off the road. But let's come to the issue of animal waste, the horse-drawn carts and things like that. In the city, because they're predominant in the city, and they do a dump and it's there. What is the responsibility? Obviously, the animal can't clean. What is the responsibility, and how do we address that issue?
Okay, so again, I'll take you back to the litter regulation. The litter regulation is quite clear. The operators for those horse-driven carts, they have a responsibility to clean up that waste. Failure to do so, they'll be charged for littering. My personal view, I absolutely hate seeing horse-driven carts to be using right now in our society. I think it should be.
Well, I've addressed that issue several times, and let me tell you what has happened. You know what is the response is? The response is that they are making a living.
I don't.
I have always said that people, every Guyanese citizen is entitled to make a living, but not at the expense and detriment of other citizens. That brings me to the water sellers that dart in and out of traffic as well. And these people that put up stores at the roadside selling vehicular spares and accessories and things like that. But that is fuel for another topic, right? The thing about horse-drawn carts in Georgetown, it's another specific topic. But I'm happy that you said that the law said that the owners or the operators, it's their responsibility to clean that waste up. And if they fail, they will be charged. We're not saying here they may be charged, they will be charged. You see, the thing about enforcement, in Guyana, is that many times it becomes selective. That's a whole nother topic again. We have experienced a lot of selectivity in enforcement. And I have apologies to make for this because I can provide the evidence of this. So if those of my friends in the police force take umbrage to that, I'm not knocking them individually, but there has been always selective enforcement. And that selective enforcement includes brackets of in the community. So we'll come back to that. Now, I'm interested to know how's medical waste in Guyana disposal? I know we do have an incinerator, biohazard incinerator, so we have that.
No, it's not incinerator anymore. What you have at Georgetown Hospital, and I think if you look at the Hospital Facilities Act of 2007, it mandates all hospitals and clinics to dispose of the waste using an appropriate entity. So one such entity is the Georgetown Hospital. Georgetown Hospital has what you call a hydroclave operation, right? It's stationed at Georgetown Hospital. However, they have some mobile vehicles that goes around to all these hospitals and collect those kind of hospital waste. Okay, and take it to Georgetown Hospital. It passes through a steam process. Once it's sanitized properly, then that's taken to landfill and buried. So whatever is taken to landfill, it has no contaminants inside. All the contaminants are removed, right? So all the clinics, I know the Hospital Facilities Act of 2007 is very clear that all hospitals, all clinics, all dialysis centers, everything like that should use the hydroclave system, should use a proper system, which is the most appropriate in Guyana and Georgetown right now is the Georgetown Hospital. So you wouldn't see our waste, our garbage contractors collecting medical waste from anybody. We can't. It's a no-no by our contractors and the solid waste department. We do not collect it. They have to make their arrangement to Georgetown Hospital, who will send the truck to that clinic or that hospital to collect that kind of waste. The waste also has to be stored in red bags, and it has to be biohazard bags. And that is being taken. I know the Hospital Facilities Act because I used to work in the hospital facilities before. So I know it very well.
Okay. In the past government, a number of years ago, they came up with a paper about solid waste management. Unfortunately, nothing materialized, and I don't want to say, well, really nothing materialized with the past government. Let's give them the credit, but nothing really materialized. But I do know, and I'm not certain if that ban is still in force with the styrofoam boxes, plastic container, plastic material, and things like that. Is that still in force?
Well, the only thing is that the ban was on styrofoam. The ban was on styrofoam and it's still in force. Right?
Is that enforced right now?
Yes, it's still in force. There was a conversation and it went a very far level towards the ban on single-use plastics. And they were given a timeline when it will be implemented. I mean, we did consultation across the country, but the implementation of that ban is still withheld. Right? I would love for one day we have a ban on single-use plastics because they have no environmental value to us citizens, to the environment we live in. They absolutely has no value than what its purpose is, a single use. It's like if you go into a supermarket now and you buy your groceries, they will load you up with single-use plastic bags, right? And one of those plastic bags takes about 99 years to fully decompose. So imagine you have in a household, every household has it, including mine. You have a drawer that has those plastic bags.
Plastic bags.
Right?
Oh yes.
What
you got a plastic bag with plastic bags inside.
Yes. What I try to encourage our citizens is that you must know a day that you're gonna go to the supermarket. You must have a scheduled day, right? We could understand the randomness, but you must have a day that we're gonna go and do groceries. Take back those plastic bags to the supermarket, right? So you're gonna have one set of bags because inadvertently those bags get into our waste streams, right? You dump it in the garbage bin, it goes to landfill, and it just take up space. It can't decompose after 99 years, or it gets into the waterways and block the drains, and you have flooding, and then everybody.
So then it might be advisable what is coming out of this discussion here is that it might be advisable for a couple of things to happen. One is government must look at total banning these plastic receptacles, bags, and things like that. The other thing that is coming is that, and this is perhaps a little difficult, but it's possible, we have to change the entire mindset of how we dispose of garbage in our communities. I wanted to suggest something, and I'd like to have both yourself and Troy's views on it. Waste management, disposal of garbage should be taught in schools to change the current mindset so that the youngsters are coming up now can be able to protect our environment and our country in 10, 15 years. Because we got what is called the old heads. People like me, we already got some set ways. But I'm thinking now, because of what is evolving, not only of this discussion, but in general what's happening with waste management and waste disposal in Guyana, is that we now need to, just like how we've been advocating teaching compassion in schools and things like that, I think we may now have to start teaching waste management and effective garbage disposal in schools. Your views?
I go ahead.
Troy?
No, you first, Walter.
No, I totally agree with it. It must be done, but I mean, I can remember my school days. It was taught in environmental health. It was taught, we had environmental clubs at school. I think EPA, to give credit to them, they were trying very, very hard to resuscitate the environmental clubs. I think North Georgian Secondary School still has a vibrant environmental club that does a lot of work, right? Yes, it must be taught. I would have done last year, what I would have done is go to all the primary schools, 20 primary schools across Georgetown, to teach about waste separation, composting of waste, and they're thinking that if each student take back what they learn back to their homes, to the community, then they could have a lateral shift in terms of the mindset of the new generation, right? So I think we need to have that. I had a conversation briefly with the Honorable Minister Chan during COVID time, and because now we are back to face-to-face learning, it will take some time for them to allow external persons to come into schools to teach these kind of things. But I think it will be very soon in the curriculum. I'm very confident of that in terms of waste management. But what we need to look at the long term in terms of handling this garbage. You see, our population is so small, and you might think that we have a waste problem, a garbage situation in the country. We really don't, right? If we have, and which I'm hopeful, very hopeful, that we can have avenues, separate avenues to deal with all facets of waste. If we have a recycling plant to handle all these kinds of waste, then we don't have a problem, right? Majority of things that we are seeing out there is the plastic waste, the boxes.
What is precluding us from having the recycling plant? Because before you answer me, in a paper that I'm looking at, solid waste management, it had said that projected by year 2024, 40% of all generated waste will be recycled, composited, or otherwise put to use. And I don't know, and this paper was in 2016, I think it was.
Yeah, it was a projection. Not what is stopping it. You see, it comes with a very cost-oriented scheme, The set of a recycling plan, one of the biggest costs is electricity, right? So you have to look at that. Plastic waste, if you look at the news, China would have banned the importation of PET bottles, PET plastic waste into the country. And that was a vibrant market back in the days. All right, so there was a talk and there was conversation. I would have looked at a lot of proposals in terms of waste energy, taking all the waste we have in Guyana, not only Georgetown, taking all the waste we have in Guyana and converting to energy. One, the problem you have there is that the energy created from that operation, the person will want to sell that energy to the national grid. All right, so it has to be cost effective for them to sell to the national grid. That will be profit oriented. All right, so that's what stopped a lot of people from doing the waste energy project. But individually,
let's do some maths. I'm not very good at that. How does an efficient waste disposal affect the community? We're talking about the stench, the diseases, and primarily tourism. Let us look at what we can gain by having a clean and tidy city and country as against doing this project for waste disposal, for
All right.
recycling?
I don't want to steal your show, right? I want to give Troy an opportunity to talk, but as
Yes,
I said to you, 55% of the waste generated, and this is not, I'm sure, I'm certain it's not only for Georgetown, it's across the country, it's organic waste.
yes.
If you take that out of the waste stream, good. If you take 40% of that waste out of the waste stream, we don't have a problem. What you have is the cardboard boxes, the PET bottles, that remains. Now, the organic waste you take out, you can do composting. That will be beneficial for our farmers. It will be beneficial for you at your home gardens that you have. And you will have a revenue generating scheme because you can sell that compost. If you go in Jamaica, if you're going to Jamaica, if you're going to Toronto now, and you go into those large supermarkets, you're gonna find compost packaged and it's for sale. Same operation can be done in Guyana. So
So
composting
my
doesn't
next question is, why aren't we doing it?
okay. So composting was flouted by my department for council. It was approved. What we need to buy, and we're hoping to buy that this year, is a municipal shredder that will shred those type of waste. Because as I said, Border Market and Starbuck Markets alone, the two markets alone, generate about 25 tons of organic waste a day, daily, right? Because when you have all those cash crops vendors, those farmers are coming from far as Mahika, Canal, and those areas, bringing their cash crops, the tomatoes and the stuff to sell at our municipal markets. What is not sold, they can't take it back home. Sadly, that goes into the waste stream because it gets spoiled and it has to go into the waste stream. And that happens every single day. It breaks my heart to see that every single day, right? But it's something that we have to stop. We have to stop that and to have two things you can do. You could have somewhere where you can do drying of those things and packaging and sell it, or you can do the composting. I'm all for composting because we have so much land. We speak so eloquently about being the food basket for the Caribbean. I think the time is now. And why not do it organically? So the conversation is done. The council will try its best to buy the municipal shredder this year for my department. And we're going to start doing composting on a municipal level.
Walter.
Before you come in, I just want Walter to address one other thing. And this one is very very important as well. And this is where the education and the public awareness comes into play. I'm certain that yourself, Walter, and I'm certain that Troy would have experienced it. Sometimes driving behind vehicles, you just see people throwing out the food boxes, the wrappers, the plastic bags, and things like that. How do we police that to charge these people? You said, yes, your WhatsApp number, the minister's WhatsApp number, you can send images and things like that. But how can people send these images anonymously? And shouldn't we now have a special number other than your number, the minister's number, so that people, so that somebody mans that 24/7 or 8 hours or whatever? Because your WhatsApp would be flooded with all of these things.
No, it's a good question. I was directed to speak with GT&T, Digicel, and eNetworks for them to come on board to give us lines that we can have hotlines that people can report these things quickly to. So we'll have a little unit set up that deals specifically with these information that you speak of, right? I'm hoping to have that conversation with these CEOs at these companies very soon. And if they are on board, because I'm sure they are environmentally conscious too, and they will want to contribute towards the enhancement of the city and the curb of littering. So if they give us those lines at a reduced cost or free, then we set up those hotlines so people can report these events quickly to us, right? As I said, right now, whatever is reported to us, once we authenticate it, we arrest people. And so the littering unit will be primarily doing exactly what we're doing, but in a larger scale. Because as you said, there's a lot of images coming in. As we are in this Zoom meeting right now, I would have received at least 12 images so far, right? So we have to deal with that. So the time is now, as you rightly said, to have a better unit set up with hotline numbers so people can call. They might not have a image to give you, but they can call and say, listen, come at so and so so. We have somebody later in now with a horse ripping cards. We can get the unit, get the enforcement officer in a vehicle, go and arrest those people quickly.
All right. I want to bring in Troy now because Troy, just a reminder about your eco grocery bags and all the other points you want to make now.
Right. All right. Thank you, Dr. Green. All right. So just to shed some light on 3 points. The bug situation you mentioned seems to be a big problem. I'm guessing, especially when it comes to the blockage of the pumps, but especially when we have the rainy season and what's not. Why doesn't council put it on paper to have, like, for example, tax exemptions to bring in these biodegradable bags? I just basically did a basic Amazon, research here and found 200 bags for $30 a bag. And I'm sure if you do more research, you'll find even cheaper ones. The more obviously you order, the less you pay. That's one. Second, the part with edifying the kids in school about garbage disposal. Just to back up what you were saying, I recall in our days, classes used to take turns actually, and
yes, clean the
the environment. That I mean, I don't know if we can call it mandatory or what's not, but it's just something that the school used to do. And worst off, if you were caught littering, teacher would make you wear a cup or something, or put you outside of the court and stand up for a half hour or something. Everybody knows that you're the litter bug or what's not. I don't know if schools still do those sort of programs. I don't know if it's frowned upon because we've gotten so sensitive as a society to, manners the kids nowadays. I don't know how that works now. I'm way out of that school system a very long time. And thirdly, you spoke about the power generation. Now that's another, I'm just looking at ways how you can make some money because, council always complains they ain't got money and they're looking for subventions and bailouts. So this power generation business is nothing new. I've heard this here since my days of 2004 UG. I think EPA, they were testing the biomass or something. You would better shed light on that. I don't know whatever happened to that program. That was 2004. We're in 2022. I don't know if it ever materialized. I don't know much about it. But I'm sure that some proper studies can be done to have a joint venture between City Hall, the government, and even having private business folks be involved. But this person's gotta buy into the company. If we can have things like having a government-private relationship business-wise, if this is something that is going to also help the power grid, because we always got the power issue in this country, and the power demands are not going to get better. It's going to obviously worsen because we're consuming more power as more businesses are coming on board with the oil sector, especially the construction boom that is currently going on. So the power, we're going to be consuming more power. So this is something that City Hall could be making a ton of money on. Put stuff on paper. I'm not the learned person to advise on that, but I'm sure you guys have the technical engineers. You guys have the engineering department, if I recall, and put stuff on paper. Look, government, this is what we could be doing. Sit down with the relevant people to make these things happen. I'm thankful that Nazim has, allowed me to be part of this conversation because it's something that it's sometimes a bit annoying that the common citizen can see these things. You might say, Walter, that, we might just have ideas, but we don't understand the legislative aspect or whatever it is. But at the same point, many persons are seeing these things, seeing the solutions, and the policymakers are the ones gotta do the work. And I think this.
We're seeing what we think are the solutions, right? What we think are the solutions, right, not necessarily the solutions. But these are all good points to raise. I see Walter smiling because
that's the thing. Remember, that's not our job as the citizens to figure how to get to the end goal. These are the ideas on the table. As the persons in the driving wheel of those policies, they will figure out what needs to be adjusted. If it's something in the law has to change to allow those entities to have those powers to do certain things. That is, you guys got to work on that part. But having a tripartite relationship, City Hall, government, and a private venture, I don't see how funding should be a problem to have something of a, what was it you were saying earlier? The combustible something to create power or what's not. If every day the markets are producing all these garbage and you can get power out of this and add it to the power grid, then there's your money right there. So hopefully you guys, we're not just having this conversation and it's just a conversation and something fruitful comes out of it.
Thank you.
Walter.
So the three things we're talking about. One, I don't know if Troy you shop at Matai or you shop at Massey or you shop at Bounty, for example. Those three supermarkets, there may be others, right? But they have biodegradable plastic bags, and they offer those biodegradable plastic bags to you.
But you have to pay a lot.
You have to pay for it. You have to pay for it, but nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah, but
There's
if
definitely much
if you're environmentally conscious, you don't mind paying for it. But alternatively, you could request your stuff to be packaged in cardboard boxes, you know. You can, and they will give you in cardboard boxes. Now, cardboard boxes is not so bad because they are biodegradable, right? They're not a challenge to me, to my department, or there's always problem we have. They're not a challenge to us because it degrades very quickly. Once it gets wet, it degrades, right? So you can request as a citizen, buying from any supermarket. So we do have biodegradable bags in the country. In terms of tax exemption, that would be central government. I think they do give anybody bringing in, even to a garbage truck you bring in, you have tax exemptions, right? Secondly, in terms of schooling, as I said, mentioned before.
Stick a pin right there. Sorry for cutting you. Even though you're saying there are exemptions, I don't, to my knowledge, I don't know if Nazim might be able to spread some light on that, or yourself. I don't think that's a zero rated item.
What is that? The
right?
plastic bag, biodegradable plastic bags?
No, the biodegradable bags.
No, outside of that, take for example, manufacture of PET bottles. They have to pay an environmental tax, right? Bringing in plastic bags, you have to pay an environmental tax. So when I say you have an exemption, you may be given an environmental exemption tax, an environmental tax you have to pay. But that money goes to the consolidated fund. You may not be aware of that, but that happens. So if for example, Matai is bringing biodegradable bags, I'm sure he gets a tax exemption on the environmental tax you will have to pay otherwise, right? So you, as a citizen, a normal citizen might not know that, but that is basically what happens. In terms of schooling, I'm very confident that the Honorable Ms. Priyaman Chan will push very hard to incorporate solid waste management into the curriculum very shortly. Might not happen this year, but rest assured it will happen. Thirdly, in terms of you spoke about the waste energy. I don't think it was waste energy we were speaking to in 2004 EPA. It was biomass. Basically what they were doing is trapping the methane gas from the your septic tank. And this was a study done by, let's go back now, way back, in the early 70s. The then president, Mr. Forbes Barnum, would brought in a team from Sri Lanka to do the study here in terms of methane gas production, right? Your waste, your fecal matter, once decomposed, gives off methane gas. And basically what it was to be to do with is to trap that methane gas to use for cooking, right? In Nepal, that is the basic thing that happened there. They take that methane gas and use it for cooking. It's biogas. It wasn't waste energy. Waste energy is taking all your waste, all type of waste, incinerate it, taking that and converting it to power, right? Energy. Now, the problem we have, and I said, I look at a lot of proposal in terms of companies from foreign, from England, from US, from Sri Lanka, all over want to come to waste energy. The challenge that you have, one, is the cost of production. Anybody, we will put, say for example, we give them the site to do the waste energy plant at Higgs Bosch sanitary landfill, where we have a sanitary landfill. The operator for that site will still have to pay for the waste. How the waste gets there, it can't be done free. If you understand what I'm saying to you, it can't be done free. So that's a cost that all the entrepreneurs that came in are not willing to pay. They want to be done free. We can't guarantee you that, because as a city, from the city point of view, we're expending $18 million a month to pay garbage collectors to collect garbage in the city. $80 million. So how could we pay the garbage collectors and then tell the garbage collector take it to the site for free? It can be done, right? So in terms of government giving that fiat, I don't think government can give that fiat. So any person who comes to the waste energy in Guyana, they'll have to do the transportation of the waste. So maybe they will have a cheaper cost. They have to set up different sites across the country. Because if you're collecting from Rossignol, how the waste from Rossignol reach into Higgs Bosch? So that is one the logistical problem they're having. So you may have, as you said, a citizen out there may have all these ideas. They're very good ideas, but a lot of things that goes on behind the scenes that is preventing certain things from happening. But it doesn't mean that we have thrown any idea behind the back burner. We are continuously working to find a common ground where we can handle and manage this waste problem we have in the city.
Walter, Walter, I've listened to your very educative issues you raised, very informative, and I'm certain everybody that locked in now and that would lock in later would really applaud you for the way that you have addressed the issues on today's program. But I want to reiterate my position, and that is that we must, at all costs, change the mindset of the Guyanese people in Guyana, because you see, from the time you reach the Miri Airport and you open one of these sweeties, you put it in your pocket. From the time you reach and you're in the plane or wherever there are garbage, there's receptacles there, you put it down there. So it's not something that we cannot change. So this whole thing about, there are lots of logistics involved in effective waste management and the compacting and recycling and things like that. But I think, and I want to challenge those in authority, the education ministry, local government, and the other ministries, we have to change that mindset. We have to do continuous educational programs. And that is why I said we start from school. We have to hit it just like how we did, like how we're doing perhaps the COVID campaign and AIDS campaign and things like that. One of my experiences in Guyana, and I've been around for a longish period, is that there's a saying about, an Indian saying about hot kagaj, chill quick. You want to cry and quickly, oh, I like that you want to cry thing. Oh my gosh, I just remember that lady, right? And quickly it comes down back and it simmers down. We have to have a continuous national exercise, not only the city of Georgetown. I'm just reading some comments. If you traverse Guyana, all along there are areas where NDCs would put up a sign, do not dump garbage here. And that's the place that got the most garbage there, right? Guyanese, a great percentage of Guyanese can read, but sometimes most of us listen to respond, but not to understand. And this is what we need to do. We have to take this campaign, I applaud the campaign recently by His Excellency, the Diplomatic Corps and civil society. But we're not going to be able to sustain that type of campaign always. But we should use that campaign as a stimulus. But we need to take this message throughout Guyana, all the rural areas. Somebody was just telling me about Curverton, garbage has been dumped to the cemetery road. Troy mentioned about the Mont Repos Road, all over the place. And the thing is that it is not an arduous task to get people to understand how to dispose of the garbage efficiently and effectively. The second thing is, and I don't know what are the legal logistics in this, but I do know that you referred to a tax being levied. I would suggest that we ban all these plastic bags and plastic containers, or at least get them not to be used and issued by the supermarkets. So if you don't take your own biodegradable bag, buy from the supermarket. It's been done in several countries. A friend from Holland is just saying here, that is what has been done in Holland. We have to, you see, the thing is that in Guyana, we've been trying to appease the public because of fear of either withholding their support or going on the roads and protest and things like that. Certain issues that are of vital import to the survival of Guyanese in this country must be dealt with forcibly. And I applaud the City Council and what you're doing, Walter, for trying to enforce and to ensure that these things happen. But I think that we need to take this campaign all across, not a campaign of getting government officials and diplomats to go and clean up. We have to go and have town council meetings, community meetings, let people understand some of the things that you, Walter, said this afternoon. Many of us are not au fait with the rules, the regulations, the taxes, what we have to do and things like that. And though I do not disrespect the people in the country because I'm a born country person, we're all enough able to understand. So, and you don't even always have to speak it as we are speaking now. You can do the Abidis and Ayodis kind of gaf. That is Guyanese language. But the fact remains that Guyanese must understand that there are lots of other factors involved other than just putting your garbage in a bag and a truck come and collect it. We have not yet touched on the dangers to the environment. We have not yet touched on the health hazards. We have not yet touched on how it can affect tourism in this country. But obviously, a program for this short nature can't handle that. Obviously, too, I know you guys will spend a long time. Just allow me to extend my thanks to my sponsors this afternoon. Coast2Coast with the compliments of Nalico Nafico Insurance Company with 17 branches nationwide. Their newest branch is at the Gifford Mall, and it's open 7 days a week. The RDC Region 3, that's West Demerara, Escobar Islands. I'd like to thank the REO there, Jack Narine Samoa, who willingly contributed or promised to contribute and collect the contribution here for this program. The RDC Region 10, the Upper Berbice Demerara River, that's the Linden area. REO Dwight John, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, thank you to Minister Deodat Indar. The Silvers Optical of 248 border, look better, see better. If you need your glasses, you go down there, eye checks and things like that. Beacon Sons Distributors at 67 Diamond Public Road for wholesale and retail groceries, beverages, party supplies, and sanitary wear. And you know they only sell biodegradable sanitary wear. And they were very, I just told them this afternoon, look, I'm doing this for, please, just let people know at BK & Sons Distributors at 67 Diamond. They only sell, they sell all these party supplies, but everything is degradable, is biodegradable to the same. I want to thank these guys for coming on board. Like I did say earlier, the time is not enough, and we can't bore an audience going 4 hours talking about it. So I'm hoping that very soon, next week, if Walter is available, Troy, the young lady that was here, apparently she's having some internet problems because that is New Amsterdam, and unfortunately, thank you, GT&T, they're not so very good up there. I want to give both of you gentlemen an opportunity to take as much time as you wish to highlight any other issues that you want to say before we close the program. Troy, I think you should go first so that Walter can address any other issues, and Walter would be the last person.
Okay, thank you, Nazim. Generally, what I'd like to close with is that I was just checking the social media page for the council here. I actually never knew that there was a schedule that used to be posted, which is a big plus. I must commend you guys for adapting to the changing times, because I normally do check social media, by the way. Didn't notice that one. So I'm hoping that this can be a model that the RDCs and NDCs follow. You know, put out schedules, keep people informed. I mean, some have social media pages, yeah, but they're very, very outdated. So I'm hoping that
Troy, before you continue, let me tell you what we used to do in the Sugar States during my time, and I spent a number of years in Coast2Coast. And they still do it. You know, when they do public notices, but they're putting it up now with they got notice boards at different areas in the community telling the cane harvesters where they're required to go to work the following morning, where shovel men are required to work and things like that, just so that they can. So every afternoon, religiously, these workers from the estates would ride up, walk up, or go and read the notices. So people, you can do lots of things to create awareness, but continue.
Yes, as I was saying, Nathan, the thing is that we can't just keep sitting and complaining. We all are very much aware what the problems are. They're glaring in our faces and very smelly, by the way. So, I mean, social media is a great platform as a start. You know, it's free. You know, what I could advise council for you guys is, I notice you don't do sponsored ads. That's something, I don't know how your budgeting works for that. it shouldn't cost you a whole lot of money to do some sponsored ads. So
not if you do it. Not if you do it. Not if you do it with Galaxy 21 Communications. It wouldn't.
Yes, yes. All right. So what I would just advise is I'm hoping I don't know what is the relationship between I know Walter keeps saying that he's more focused on the Georgetown aspect, which is I guess the poor view of Region 4, or does just specifically Georgetown, if you may, Walter.
Georgetown. Remember,
Okay.
Walter is the solid waste management director of the Georgetown Mayor and City Council.
Right. So question, is there like for the RDCs and NDCs, are there like different solid waste management? How does that work?
All right. So the Ministry of Local Government has a sanitation management unit, and that is headed by a director of sanitation. And basically that portfolio manages or oversee the operation of solid waste management, everything outside of Georgetown. Right. So I think that's what happens with that unit. They manages or they oversee the operation of the RDC, the NDCs, and the other townships outside of Georgetown. So that is the Ministry of Local Government's responsibility, right? That coordinates with the RDC, NDC, and stuff like that. If that answers your question.
I know you might think I'm advocating so much for the Monaco people, but I must because it's becoming overbearing with the garbage situation here. So I'm hoping that the relevant authorities try and do something about it, and we bring some light to the current plight that we're under. In terms of the awareness campaigns, you guys indeed need some more work in terms of that. And I guess we can discuss that at a later forum. But definitely, I think this is a great program, Nazim. Keep up the good works. Walter, I have been following you, by the way, and I see you've been doing a lot of work, so keep it up. We'll chat more.
Great. Troy, I admire your gusto, and I do appreciate that you want to. One's first loyalty lies to where they are. Walter's loyalty lies with the MNTC Georgetown. I don't have an issue with your loyalty or you representing the Monrepo community, because I see you've been very vocal on social media, doing that not only in garbage disposal and other things, vaccination and so on. And some people might ask, why choose you? None of them might ask, but just wonder, you're not in garbage disposal or whatever. It is because of your advocacy for Guyanese people to become a better nation of people that I decided to also invite you. And of course, we have gone back 20 years, close on perhaps, or even longer. And I do admire the spirit and admire the way that you see things. I must confess that, yes, many of the suggestions you made are worthy, like Walter said, that they're not placed on the back burner. But I had earlier alluded that there are many times, sometimes we have very nice suggestions, and you said it too, we don't know what are the other logistics involved. But I want to compliment you and I want to thank you for coming on the show this evening. And I wanted to let you know that certainly we will continue. Perhaps next Tuesday, we might do another aspect, providing Walter, yourself, and I will try to see if I can get somebody from, at least 2 persons from the other NDCs, bigger NDCs in Guyana, or somebody from the Essequibo region to come on board. I want to go on record to say that I did invite the Honorable Minister Nigel Damlal, but because of his exigencies, his duties, he would not be able to make it on the show this afternoon. But I want to invite him again, and if he cannot come, he can perhaps send a representative to sit in their home office, or like Walter's doing in his 4x4 van, is it? You know the sound of 4x4 van, and we can chat about it, because I'm an advocate for education and marketing here. And this is the easiest forum that we can get more people to understand bylaws, the laws, the reasons why, the ramifications of financing, the other issues that preclude certain things from happening. Because as we all have said during the program, people are the issues. You ain't collecting in time. I ain't see the garbage truck. I don't have a bin to put, well, not my person. I ain't got enough bins in the city and things like that. You see, the thing about wanting to create change is that people are very reluctant, and they would find several excuses rather than look at one solution. And that is why you have to continuously preach, educate, and market the services. Also, the ball is in your coach.
All right. What I would like to close with is two things. To answer your question in terms of extending the cleanup across to the other regions, to the other parts, I think that has already started. I think I saw Vozignol are doing cleanup at all.
Yeah, I did see the minister post a couple of years quarantine in Berbice and so on.
I saw West Coast and so are doing cleanup. I'm very happy about that. So it catch on. But if you would have followed on the day when we start on Saturday, His Excellency did say that he will try his best to get cabinet to approve a once per month cleanup initiative across the country, right? So I'm very hopeful that that may happen, but it doesn't mean that if it doesn't happen that you don't have a sense of pride, a sense of patriotic responsibility for your country, right? What I want to say is that we as citizens of Georgia, of Guyana, must first and foremost look at that we are Guyanese. And we must have some amount of pride as Guyanese, and pride in terms of how we care for the environment, how we manage where we live in, even to the streets outside. You see, we always go, and if you can go to the famous Martin Luther King speech, he says, now what the country can, what you can do for, what you can do for the country, right? What can you do to curb this behavior? You're having a problem. Yes, we all cry foul about who's not doing what and what and what and what. But it doesn't preclude your responsibility to clean your area. You don't have to wait for somebody to do it for you, right? It's a sense of pride. And if we're going to look and we want to see Guyana, Guyana is already on the map, the world map in terms of oil and other areas that we are going for. But let us be a tourism hub. And the only way we can become a tourism hub is, yes, everybody, municipality, and everybody has to step up its game, but we as a citizenry need to exercise more patriotic responsibility. We need to be more careful of how we dispose of our waste, how we manage where we live. And let's start from where we are living. And if you, for the instance, His Excellency speak about once a month cleanup. If you just come out the last Sunday of every month, and you just clean in front of you, the side of you, or the back of you. That's all you're doing. And imagine if every citizen does that, and the RDC, the municipality, or whoever can provide bins, skip bins or garbage truck to collect all of those waste. Imagine how clean our society will be. And it doesn't take 2 to 3 hours.
Also, one second. Quick question. I don't know legally, how does that work? I know overseas, indeed, you're responsible for your parapet. So things like your areas directly in front of you, that's your responsibility.
It is.
Do we have those laws locally here where a person has to ensure that their drain is clean, their parapet is well weeded?
Okay.
I don't know, how does that work?
Okay, so you are responsible for the boundary that extend up to the drain. That is your responsibility. Okay, that belongs to you. Your grass, if you do have grass in your yard, cannot be more than 4 inches long. The drains in front of you and the side of you, and if it's by the back, your responsibility is to clean that, to ensure water is flowing. That is your responsibility as a citizen, right? And it is documented in the legislation. It's not being enforced. You can remember, I don't know, back in the days, way back, right? You remember the environmental officers to come to your homes and fill up a card that put it at the back of your door?
Yes.
And they come to see if you have any tires, any plates of
receptacles that can harbor mosquitoes and things like that. Yes.
So that is basically they are adhering to the laws. So that is your responsibility. So now that
these are the things that the council needs to do, because a lot of persons are under the belief that, oh, I pay my taxes, so it's the government's responsibility to clean the drain. Or
I don't buy that excuse, honestly.
But you know, it's a common excuse.
Well, that excuse is born out of ignorance of, in some cases, I'm not trying to defend litterbugs and anybody here, but that excuse can be born out of ignorance of not knowing what really they ought to do. And that is why I'm happy that this afternoon we could have spoken a bit on it and hope that we can continue. I'm committed to give the time on Coast to Coast for several weeks and Tuesday evenings, committed to let us have discussions, to educate our people, to motivate them and to market them. But one of the things we always need to understand is that in order to have people to be united, they must see a common goal and benefit. Sadly, in Guyana, we have two divisions. And it irks me to see people only because of a political alignment, they're not supporting something that they know in their head is going to be beneficial, but they want to a political line. That is not something that I can easily put a finger to say how we can solve that. If those of the persons who are right now on this program would see every day I post on our page inviting people to tune into MMR, and I said our quest for unity through music continues globally. My main focus in all these programs is to work towards the unification of Guyanese in an apolitical fashion. Disposing of your garbage, having your environment clean, providing, ensuring that you're healthy and things like that has no politics. It should not have no politics. And that is why, before I close, I really want to go on record to saying I'm disgusted by the agencies who did not thought it was fitting to support Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali's call for all Guyanese to come out. They should sit back and think if what they did, how it affects them and their future. You know, I've always been saying when I talk on suicide issues and domestic violence, that is why I'm advocating a restart, if it was been done, of training as a subject matter in schools from primary. Children learn from what they see. No child is born with any racial tendencies. Look at social media, you see children going to school at nursery school, you don't know things. You know where people learn that from? Home. When you refer to Kuliman and to Black man, it's from home and what it is. And that is how we bring up our young people. And that is why we now need to change the entire mindset. But the thing is that I've always been amazed. From the time you reach Siberi Airport, bro, you open a mint, you put it in your pocket and you look around. And when you're in the plane, and from the time you go to Uncle Sam country areas. And we don't want to do it here because we feel that, you know what, this government trying to do a nice cleanup and thing and so on. So if we do something wrong, it'll make them look bad.
No,
and this,
I want to stop there. With the last 2 weeks campaign that we would have done, right? Sites that were prone for littering have remained clean, you know. So you're already seeing the fruits of the campaign. Changes are happening. And the reason why you spoke about our Guyanese brothers and sisters who are venturing abroad and they put the sweeties in the wrappers in their pocket is because the fines for littering over in those countries is so hard, so big, right? And they don't want to pay it, or they might not have the money to pay it, right? So they don't want to be caught littering. And though they have CCTV cameras all over. So very soon we have CCTV cameras in the city, right? A collaboration is going to be sought between us and the person who's managing those CCTV cameras. So once we see garbage there, we're going to ask for footage. We're going to find it. We're going to arrest it. So we are already seeing fruits for the campaign. It will continue us. We start doing staking out at nights now. So once we find you, we're going to charge you. So people are very fearful presently. In the city I can speak of littering, right? I saw an elderly woman this afternoon. I don't know if she saw my vehicle or because of whatever, but she started pulling in the wood that she had thrown outside of her into her back in her yard, right? So I'm very happy to see that, right? Yes, she's elderly, but they have to be more responsible. This is a city we're living in. Any part of the world, you have to pay a big bucks to live in the city. In Georgetown, it's free, right? And it's time for us now to change our behavior. The behavior problem we have in this country is dumping of garbage all over. It has to change. And if the only route right now, the education may come after, but if the only route now is prosecution, so be it. I have no
Well,
apology.
I'm in full support of prosecution because the adage is that you have to prosecute now so that they can understand the seriousness of the issue. What I'm concerned about is the selective enforcement and selective prosecution. And I don't want to say it here now, but we'll talk about that some other time off the air here. But there have been a level of selectivity in enforcement. And I don't want you to
I don't want to speak to that. But what I know right now, the collaboration that we have, my department has with Ghana Police Force and our city constabulary, is that there is a phase or a status in society that once you get caught littering, you are going to feel the full force of the law. I promise you that, right? Because in these takeouts, it's not the constable alone doing it or the police. I am part of it. I'm sacrificing time from my work to go with this team to stake out. And we are all the arrests that was made so far. I was part and parcel of those arrests, right? You had a businesswoman who pleaded our case, but she was still arrested because I really don't want to hear excuses. The time I don't want to read, I really don't want to hear it. So whoever you are and whoever you think you are and whoever you think you know, let that person come. If you are caught littering, let that person come and bail you because you are going to be prosecuted. The Ghana Police Force have been very supportive. From the Commissioner of Police right down, all his ranks are very, very supportive so far with us.
Any other issues, gentlemen? Any other issues that you want to raise? We can have like 10 minutes more. I can stay here all night, but I do know Walter did not yet have it.
I need to go home. But one quickly, I would like to encourage residents, encourage the citizenry across the country, is to dispose of your waste correctly, have a waste receptacle, have pride of country, put pride of country first and foremost. Politics will take care of itself. Every election, we have this big storm and we have a lot of division, but after that, we are back in one. Put the Guyana cricket team to play anywhere and we have unity, right? Politics will take care of itself. Let us all put pride of country first and foremost, clean where we are living, where we have business, clean that, and the rest will take care of itself. Any form of littering, anybody, what is sad, you might see people are dumping in front of somebody, and a neighbor might be dumping in front of you, and we don't want to report it because you might get a cuss out. You will remain anonymous. We promise you will remain anonymous. I just want the footage, and we are going to arrest people. Please report it.
I'm happy that you spoke about the anonymity there because a lady was just telling me what about on the live here, and you will check the live afterwards too. A lady was just saying about what about people that come and dump garbage in front of your premises in the night. These are things that happen as well.
Report it. We will treat it as very anonymous, and we are going to deal with it. We have been doing that, right? We are not given the source unless the magistrate asks for those information, then it will be provided. But rarely it's not asked for because once we have the footage, we show, and that is that. I ask of everybody, if you find somebody littering, see somebody doing something is wrong, it's illegal, wrong is wrong, there is no cover up for wrong, please report it. I will try my very best to get the little unit up and running in terms of reporting. You have a hotline number that will be posted across the counts, across the city of Georgetown, so you can call in and report such matter. But please, don't let this wave that started die away. Do your part, keep your environment clean. If you need the support, if you need bins or stuff like that to put your garbage in, or you need a truck, please call us. We'll provide. I prefer you put it in a garbage truck than dump it and be charged. Thank you.
Walter, just a quick note here. I know plastic is a major concern for you. So I was just doing some quick reading here and about plastic being big business. So another revenue stream would be to encourage persons. I know you mentioned with the power generation aspect, but have you guys ever explored, especially with your department, of encouraging or persons to separate their garbage when it comes to plastic bottles, especially, and the financial gains that one can receive from separating those plastic bottles. Have you guys ever explored those options?
All right. It's a lucrative market, right? No doubt. However, again, I don't want to go too deep, but the challenge that we have in Guyana in terms of exporting that plastic waste to, say, for example, China don't accept it anymore. If you have this, let's export it to North America. Let's export to US. The cost of transportation is so high for us to transport one container of plastic waste that is being palleted, taken there. So the cost of collection of that waste, you may see it all over the place. But if you want to do proper collection of plastic waste, must have to start from the source, that is home, right? In the hotels, you must have bins there that you put plastic waste. You have to get the hotel staff there to put the plastic bottles in there, because all hotels, the high-end ones, provide you with bottled water, right? In the rooms. You have to have bins there to collect that. Then you have to pay to collect that waste to take it to your site. So you're gonna do two things. You're gonna shred it or you're gonna pallet it. Then you have to pack it in a container, you have to send it out. So the cost of production is very high. So yes, it is lucrative, but in terms of where we are in the Caribbean, where we are located, and we have to pay shipping to US, it's costly, right? It's very costly. You understand?
All
so
right.
what I would like to see happen, what I would like to see, if you go to, I don't want to start this because I will talk for whole night about solid waste. If you see in India, they're actually incorporating plastic waste, PET bottles, shredded and incorporated into road making.
Yes.
Right? It's incorporated into roads. It's a conversation that I am having with my colleagues from Ministry of Public Works. I will have a conversation with the honorable ministers about this shortly. So if we can collect those plastic waste, have it shredded and incorporate it in the road making process, reducing the dependency of asphalt, it will be beneficial for us all.
Okay, guys, we're running behind time. So Troy, you have 1 minute to wrap up, and then I'll leave Walter with 1 minute to wrap up.
Well, I think I would have wrapped up early, but just to reiterate that, I'm pleased to see that this is the direction we are, and to see that, as Nazim rightfully said, we didn't have it wasn't a full all hands on deck. I guess one thing we all should have united on was, of course, the garbage situation. Politics should not obviously play a role in the most obvious thing, which is keeping the environment clean. It affects everyone. It doesn't have a race attached to it or anything of the sort. And I think that we all should have a collective approach and do what is best. I mean, it's for us all. It's for our safety. It's a health hazard.
It's for our future and the future generation.
It's a problem for drainage. It's a health way, especially sometimes, a fly could just light on a pile of garbage and come and light in your food. There's so many wrong things can happen with just having an unsanitary place. So we really need to have a real collective approach and a unified approach. And, this is something that nobody should have, as Nazim rightfully said, a political or apolitical view about. This is something we all should hold hands together and just get it done.
Right, Walter, 60 seconds.
60 seconds. Pride of country, pride of country, pride of country. Clean your environment. It is your responsibility. It's not the responsibility of anybody else. All of you paying wage tax. It is your responsibility as a citizen of Guyana to clean your immediate environments. Right? Stop littering. There is no benefit for littering. And if you're going to pay the horse-driven carts and the push carts portion to collect your garbage, no, foremost, they are not allowed in the sanitary landfill. So do not do it. You see, when you cut a tree down, you call a horse cart and you put it in the horse cart. Where are they going to put it? They can't go in the landfill, so they're going to dump it. And we catch that person, you will be charged. So don't do it. Rent a skip bin from the council, rent a skip bin from the poor ones, rent a skip bin from servants. Dispose of your waste properly. And in so doing, you're contributing towards the image of the country. So please look at yourself in the mirror and let pride of country be your guiding light towards stop littering. Thank you.
Excellent. Before I thank you guys, let me just remind our audience that you've been listening and viewing Coast to Coast Talk Back, Tuesday evening program at 6 p.m. With the kind compliments of Nalico Nafico Insurance, Region number 3 in RDC, Region 10 in RDC, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, the Silvers Optical at 248, Border, Beacon Sons Distributors at 767 Diamond. My special thanks to my technical coordinator who's been sitting here for 2 hours, Nicholas Samaru of 2000 Graphics Studio, and my program director, WRES, who's been checking in. I want to thank all the viewers, all those on Facebook, many of you who would have shared the Go Live. It's unfortunate that I could not read your comments this afternoon for us to elaborate on it, but I'm certain that both Walter, myself, and Troy and Salima would read the comments so that when we review another program, when we convene another program, which hopefully can be next Tuesday, we can address those issues. But many of the issues that were brought up in the live stream here were already issued. Our special on the panel this evening was Mr. Walter Narayan, the Solid Waste Management Director of the Georgetown Mayor and Town Council, Salima Autar, the Environmental Assistant of the New Amsterdam Mayor and Town Council. Unfortunately, she seems to be having some technical issues. And Troy Edmondson, the CEO of Edmondson Designs, and a very concerned citizen and Guyanese. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for accepting the invite, for being in the program this evening. Also to our female guest, Salima. In my mind, and based on the comments I'm seeing, it has been the most informative and intuitive program. And I'm very happy that many of the burning issues were addressed by Walter, and many of the burning issues were brought up by Troy. So I want to thank you once again. I want to thank all the viewers, all those on Facebook Live now. And I want to invite you, I will speak with Walter. If Walter is free for next Tuesday, we will continue this discussion. In the meantime, remember to join me on Mondays at 6 p.m. for Memories of Guyana. And next Monday, my guest will be former President of Ghana, Mr. Donald Ramotar, and I'm working on an overseas guest from Guyana when we'll chat about Memories of Guyana. Until then, I want to invite you to observe all of the COVID-19 protocols. If you're not yet vaccinated, must do so now. And if you are eligible for booster shots, take your booster shots now. And I part company with you, hoping that you'll have a pleasant Tuesday evening, a restful night, and a very productive day tomorrow. And remember, be in it, you know it's the right thing to do. Until then, Nazim S. Hussein on behalf of Walter Narayan, Troy Edmondson, and Salima Autar, bidding you farewell. Be a good citizen, be a proud citizen. Thank you very much for looking.